that's probably my favorite one, this little snip.
I feel like for me, unwinding is writing and just putting everything that I'm feeling, all the heaviness, all my stressors, or whatever it is, how I'm feeling, dumping it into writing. And I like how that just sort of takes place.
Welcome back to another cozy vlog. I feel like I haven't introduced myself in a while, so if you are new here, hello, welcome. I am so glad that you're here. My name is Kim, and here on my channel I love to create content about books, about writing projects I'm working on, and just about living a cozy and intentional life. I am an illustrator, I am a writer, and that's what I like to share here on this platform. So the last few days, you guys, I have just been at home. I am such a homebody that it's becoming a huge problem because it naturally, as much as I love being at home, it also does affect my mental health. I feel like it's nice to just step out of your house and get some fresh air, get a different perspective, a change of scenery. It really does wonders for my mental health personally. And oftentimes I go a few days without going, even weeks without even stepping out of my house. I mean, obviously I go out, like I'll go on a walk and stuff like that, but as someone who works from home, it can be quite a lot to just be stuck at home doing not the same repetitive things, but just seeing the same things all the time in my house. especially because my current, if you've been here with me, you know that my living situation, we're very limited on space, me and my husband. And my husband also works from home, and he has been having so many meetings in the mornings, and it's been really hard to just vlog, to just be in my creative space. It's been hard. Sorry for the weird lighting. I hope this is better. I'm holding you guys on my tripod. So I decided that today I would step out and just get a change of scenery. I have been working a lot on illustrating, you guys. I mentioned before that I've been working on reopening my art shop, which is very exciting as someone who for the last almost 2 years closed down my art shop. I reopened it a little bit for the fall of last year and then closed it down again because I couldn't I wasn't really in the headspace to be drawing, and I've just been so full of inspiration. I've been drawing like crazy. I am a digital artist, so I draw a lot digitally. But also I have been drawing a lot on my sketchbook, which is a huge goal for me, is to draw more traditionally on my sketchbook. So I've been doing that quite a bit as well. And I've been drawing a lot, not only for my art shop, but also because I have been working very hard on updating my portfolio, my art portfolio, because I truly want to seek representation this year for my art and also for as a writer. But first and foremost, I want to seek representation for my art. My goal is to not only illustrate my books, but also illustrate other books or just work on cool projects. And oftentimes those can come about by seeking someone to represent you, an agency of sorts. So I've been working really hard to do that. I'm closer than what I was a couple months ago. And also because my art has changed so much, which is great, and it's beautiful to see from when I first started sharing my art online. And it's just all exciting stuff. So today I came to Barnes & Noble's. Actually, they have a cute little cozy coffee shop here. I just drove by it though, and it looks pretty packed. So I'm hoping I can find a seat. And if not, then I'll go to a different coffee shop, or I don't know, we'll see what happens. But the goal today is to work on some illustrations. I also have been very inspired by poetry lately. I have been writing poetry quite a bit, which is something that I used to do a lot when I first started sharing my art online. I would write poetry and I would share illustrations kind of combined with the poetry, and that's how I started building my platform over on Instagram. For a while I sort of stopped. Social media just became very confusing, very overwhelming, and I stopped. And I feel like now that I'm sort of back on social media and kind of trying to get back in the rhythm of things, I am coming back to my roots of illustrating, intentionally illustrating, writing poetry. And it sort of just feels nice to come back to my roots from back in the day, when people first started noticing my art. So it feels nice to be coming. It feels kind of full circle to be coming back to that. So friends, without further yapping, let's hope I find a seat here at Barnes & Noble's. And if not, we'll see where we go. So let's go.
Hi friends, I am back in my car. Barnes & Noble's was quite a success. It was very nice. I got a lot of things done. I was able to warm up on my sketchbook. I did a couple of doodles prior to getting started on working on an illustration for Patreon. I got pretty ahead on that design as well, which is really nice. I initially also wanted to work on some poetry because, like I mentioned, I've been feeling very inspired. I've been writing a lot of poetry, and I kind of wanted to go back to my old poems that I have, like this Google Doc where I wrote a whole bunch of poems that I've been collecting over the years. And initially, prior to my book that came out, Incantations Embodied, my goal was to publish a collection of poems, just poems. And that didn't happen because I started working on Incantations Embodied. I don't know, something within me is kind of calling me to revisit those poems, which I'm grateful for, but also I'm like in the middle of so many projects. I started working on a fantasy novel. I also have an idea for a graphic novel, a cozy fantasy graphic novel. And then I'm here with my poetry as well that I want to revive on top of like illustration stuff that I have going on. So my brain is quite chaotic. It's really hard being a person that loves so many things because I find it really hard to split my time and really devote time to a project. Considering that is how my brain works, I really need to simplify my life and really sort of decide on what project I want to work on for this year. I really wanted to work on my fantasy novel this year, but that might just have to wait. And as far as my graphic novel, I also got a burst of just inspiration to work on my graphic novel, and I think that's because I've been drawing a lot and sketching a lot. Now I'm in between my graphic novel to continue to pursue, or if I just want to go back to my roots and finally publish that collection of poems that I really wanted to publish. That I might just self-publish unless I can find representation and query it around, but I mean, that's in the future. But I mean, I have a whole bunch of poems. It's pretty much a book already. I just need to edit it, kind of go through all the poems and really see which ones I want to keep, maybe some that I want to update. It's been a collection of poems that I've had for, gosh, I want to say like more than 5 years, you guys. And I don't know, like it was always my dream to publish that collection of poems. And considering that I'm now coming back to my roots, which is writing poetry and illustrating and just sharing my work how I did back in the day, I don't know, I'm having a feeling of reviving that project. But anyways, that's what I wanted to work on today, but I didn't get to because I got pretty caught up in working on my Patreon illustration. I realized now that I've been drawing a lot more often and using my color pencils and my gouaches and just my paints and whatnot, I realized that in order for me to use those, they need to be sort of like there and accessible. And that is something that I sort of just tuck and put all my stuff away because I don't have the space. However, a couple of months ago, I purchased this sort of storage vintage / desk situation apart from the current desk that I have, and I was able to fit it in the little corner where my current desk is. But I'm thinking that in that little desk is one of those desks you guys will see when we get home, those desks that sort of open up and it becomes a table, and it has a whole bunch of little storage drawers when you open the little table part. I'm thinking of displaying all of my paints, all of my color pencils, all of that stuff in that desk, because I feel like if it's there invisible for me, I will be more prone to using the paints and whatnot. So in the spirit of just feeling inspired of drawing and also just working a lot on my art shop, I think I'm gonna go and revamp that little desk area and sort of just put all my paints just visible for me. That way I can make it more of a ritual for me to just draw every day traditionally, not just digitally. And I've been really enjoying the headspace that I get into when I sit down and just draw. So I think that's what we're gonna go home and do, you guys. I'm gonna go and set that little area up. All right, you guys, I am home. I wanted to show you the piece of furniture that I was talking about that is like another little desk that I want to specifically use to paint. You guys know that this is my regular desk. This is where I do admin work. This is where I mostly just do everything. You guys are familiar with this area. But over here on this side, I have this little, sorry about the lighting. The lighting is always weird in my bedroom. But this is the vintage sort of desk that I got a couple months ago. And I really, really love it. It has 3 very spacious drawers. And then the top of this sort of opens and it becomes a desk. It is kind of worn in a bit. It's definitely scratched, but I kind of like that. I like the very worn in look. And here, as you guys can tell, is a whole bunch of junk. I have like stickers, I have paper, mail, I have a couple of my acrylics that I put on here that I've been using. I want to organize the space and have it specifically be an area where I will paint. Therefore, I want to have all my paints, my brushes, my markers all displayed on here. Considering that it has all these cool compartments, I figured that it would be nice to just display all my markers in here and kind of put them in between these little nooks. The only problem is that the little space ratio between here and my other desk is very small. I don't think my desk chair will fit in here. So now I'm thinking if maybe I should put this desk against my window here. I didn't want to cover my window, but because I really don't have much options, I figured that we could try it. I think when you're limited on space, you kind of just need to be creative and find a way that works for you. Also, you guys, I got some mail. I actually already opened it because I was very excited, but my spring shop stickers are here. I created 4 individual stickers and then I made 2 sticker sheets as well that are in production right now through a different company. But I got my stickers already. Let me show you guys. So this is the first one. These are going to be available for my spring shop update. This one says, don't forget to be kind to yourself. It's a little watercolor birdie that's on a transparent background. We have this one. This one's probably my favorite one, this little snail. Does it fit?
Yeah, just right there. Wait, before you just
Figure that out right now. Can you help me put this like this?
yeah.
I mean, this is kind of spacious. I kind of like it. Wow, I could put this plant here. You know how long I've had this plant?
Forever, right?
I've had this plant for years.
How many years?
I want to say I've had this plant for like 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, I swear.
Yeah.
Alright, don't mind this stuff right here. That is my husband's bookshelf that sort of divides his desk area. So I can see all of the back stuff from his bookshelves. We're not going to worry about this. I hate that I have to see it, but it's there. But I kind of like where this is at now. And I like that I can sort of arrange some of my plants up here. I think that's going to be nice. These poor plants used to live up here where my printer now is, and they were severely neglected. So I like that they're here. That way I can easily water them and they can get some better lighting. So I think I'm liking this. Another neglected plant. My goodness. sorry for the weird lighting. It is, oh gosh, what time is it? It is quite late. It is 7 p.m. and I just finished having dinner, a late dinner, and I am just hanging out in this cozy little area. I'm really loving the setup of my drawing desk. That's what I'm gonna call it, the drawing desk. I'm really loving the setup. I'm itching to go and draw, but I already did enough drawing today. This area is feeling so cozy, and I'm feeling very inspired to just do a little bit of writing, since that was initially the plan when I was at Barnes & Noble's earlier today, but I couldn't get to it. So because everything's just feeling so cozy, my husband just lit an incense and it just smells so good in here. I want to get into something comfy and make myself a cup of tea and work a little bit on this poetry collection, kind of go through my old poems and see which ones I want to recycle, rewrite, use for this new poetry collection, and kind of go from there and see if, kind of just get a vibe of how I'm feeling with poetry in general, and see if it's something in my interest that I truly do want to put together for this year. So I'm gonna be going through some documents, maybe writing a little bit, and just kind of hang out here until it's time to go to bed. I'm kind of excited to see and revisit my old poems. I always, the times that I do revisit my poetry, I always have such a fun time just reading the poems and just revisiting the words and maybe seeing where I was with my headspace around the time that I was writing those poems. So it's gonna be fun. Well, at least I hope so. It's gonna be fun. I'm sure there's gonna be some poems that I'm just gonna be like, ugh. I feel like that's the thing with writing, right? It just sort of takes you into different areas depending on your headspace. So yeah, that's gonna be fun, revisiting that. It is 8:35. I think I'm going to call it a night because I want to go shower and just unwind for the rest of the afternoon, or for the rest of the night. I cannot tell you guys how sweet and good it felt to just work on my poetry again. I don't know, I feel like so many pieces of myself are just coming back from when I first started sharing my work online. And I feel like, for me personally, I suppose the bigger that my platforms got, the sort of little jobs that I was getting to create book covers for authors, to make my own book. I also worked on a tarot deck that took a chunk of my time. And I feel like the more bigger projects I got, I sort of put behind or put to the side projects that I was continuously working on from when I first just started sharing my work online. It has felt so nice to just come back to those projects, to come and revisit my poetry and just reading all the poems, and it just kind of gave me this sense of like, hey, this is still here. The fire is still here. The want, the need is still here. The creativity is still here. The love for this art medium is still here. It just felt so nice to reminisce, and I felt like myself from 5 years ago, who was just so in need of just sharing words and sharing art, to find community, to heal, because that's what a lot of my poetry was about. I was in this and I still am, right? Because healing is very non-linear, but I was just starting on my healing journey, and I was trying to make sense of what I was feeling internally. It just felt so nice to come back and reread those words, to reread those poems and kind of see or get a vision of where I was in my headspace. And it made me very excited to jump back into it. And I suppose that's what I was looking for, is to see if I still felt that excitement. I know that I've been feeling inspired to write poetry, and I have been writing a little bit of poetry, but I wanted to see if that spark was there now that I was revisiting my old poems, to see if it was something that I wanted to truly spend time on this year to develop. Because right now I have a lot of in the works big projects, and I suppose I really just need to pick and choose what I want to give my energy to, what I want to spend time doing this year. Needless to say, this felt really good to do. It felt right. I felt right at home. It really took me back to 5 years ago, Kim, who was just sharing her work online, and the need of having something to say and wanting to share these words with community. I'm excited to continue just developing this book. I really have a vision for it. Unlike my first book, Incantations Embodied, which is more of a workbook, there is some prose in there, but it's more of a storyline workbook type of book. I want this book, this poetry book, to be solely just poetry, to be poetry with a little bit of prose, some of my illustrations incorporated on there as well, but I want it to feel potent. I want it to feel earthy and nicely rooted. I want it to feel moist and damp. I just wanted to feel like the earth. I wanted to touch upon subjects that are very obviously familiar to me, about being a woman, about being a first generation woman. I wanted to have themes of the earth, of connecting to nature. So that is sort of my vision for this book, and I'm excited to continue developing it more. I feel like I also just discovered a good little routine for myself as someone who is also an illustrator and a writer and is trying to juggle both things. I feel like the mornings are really good for me to just illustrate and kind of doodle and work on illustration projects. I feel like in the morning, since my brain is still waking up, working on illustrations is a great way to sort of wake up my brain and get in creative mode. And what I just discovered right now is that I actually really like the vibe of writing at night around this time. I feel like when the sun has gone down, the lights are dim, there's a nice cozy vibe in the room. My brain, after the day of being creative and just doing things that I've been doing all day, whether it was a busy day or not, later in my day, in the afternoon or in the nights. So I'm really liking writing at night as a sort of way to just not only decompress, but I don't know, I just find that I have a lot more to say later in the day or at night. Well, friends, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this very chill day of another day in the life and just hanging out with me. I truly appreciate you guys. I would appreciate it if you haven't already to subscribe to my channel, to engage with my video, to like, comment, share. It really goes a long way with this YouTube algorithm that is always up and down. So your support in that way truly helps. Thank you again for spending this time with me. Remember, friends, that you can create the life that you want because you so deserve it. I will be seeing you in another video very soon. Until then, friends, take care and bye for now.